These 27 ohm current limiting resistors in the lamp matrix section were the first to go. Although they still measured 27 ohms, nobody's going to be happy looking at those things in there, so they gotta go. I did all the preliminaries on this System 6A pair that has come from a bowler, a puck bowler of some kind, I think. Maybe it's ball bowler, I don't know. Anyway, it will not boot with game ROMs installed. So what I always ask folks to do, if they say, hey, what should I do next? The next step is always Leon's ROM. This is once you've got the 40-pin connector, etc., all taken care of. And tested any chips that you can with a chip tester of some kind, verified the ROMs, etc. So this one, with Leon's ROM in, you can see that I have the MPU board detached from the driver board, and the MPU board is working perfectly. But when I attach the driver board, Leon's ROM clicks one time and then stops, and I'll show you. Okay, here we go. That was the one click. That's all you get. So what is that telling me? Well, that's telling me that one of these 6821s on the driver board is so honked up that it's not letting the program run. My next step is to take my known good driver board and attach it and ensure that that's working correctly. After that, it's a game of hunt and find for which PIA is messed up. Now, sometimes you can tell if one of them's shorted, it'll run hotter than the rest of them. These all feel the same. Or if there's an AMI PIA in there, then it jumps to the top of the heap for suspects. Well, we're gonna have to go a different route. Williams Strike Zone, a puck bowler, and it's running the white flipper ROMs in a System 6A MPU, which is overkill, but I believe that's the way all Strike Zone puck bowlers were originally delivered. And it came to me with the driver board along with the MPU board, and it was inoperative completely. So I did the usual things. I replaced all these headers. I socketed the 6808. I left the machine pin sockets that somebody had put in previously, and boy, do I hate machine pin sockets now. You just cannot get anything other than a factory chip into those things without much wailing and gnashing of teeth. I socketed both the 6810s, the 5101, replaced the 40-pin interconnect both sides, headers all the way around, and there are a total of 12 headers there on a driver board. I added a blanking indication and what that orange LED will mean when it turns on. 5-volt filter cap replaced, center of the display. That is a radial cap versus this axial cap that I replaced on the driver board. And so what was the root cause? When we last saw this board pair, I had connected Leon's, or I installed Leon's ROM on the MPU board, and it would run Leon's ROM on the MPU board. As soon as I connected a driver board, however, Leon's ROM would run maybe one cycle, or it would click the flipper power enable relay one time and then it would die. So I concluded that there was something wrong with this driver board. And in hindsight, after a long and arduous journey, which I would love to have taken you on, but it was just a long and winding road, as somebody famously once said. What I found out was that signals D6 and D7 were a little hinky. Why were they hinky? Well, in the 6A CPU, Williams replaced what would have been line drivers here at 1898 or 1897. I don't know, I'd have to look it up. They can be replaced with 74 LS367s, I do know that. They replaced these, the line drivers that used to be here, with these hecktastic looking jumpers of some kind. I mean, these are used in prototyping, Well, the pin underneath this location, sorry, on this part was not making with the trace below it, so, or 100% anyway, so the two data signals that went through there were less than, I'll say, high fidelity. They weren't clear enough, and my suspicion is that once I loaded the data bus down further with the devices on the driver board, it just gave up the ghost and quit. So I figured that out. Now, how did I figure that out? It's just a lot of following your nose, and haven't seen this kind of thing before, so I don't really know how to explain it. I guess this could be dumb luck. Oh, also on this board, since this is running the white ROMs, you have to press the lower of these two buttons to get into diagnostics. And man, I was having a tough time with that, because either the button wasn't working or the logic going to the microprocessor wasn't working. Sorry, still got the cold. When you press this button, it grounds pin 6 of the microprocessor, which is the non-maskable interrupt, which means that nothing can take priority within the processor once that happens, so it has to service that interrupt. Well, I was pressing this button and pin 6 was unimpacted. So I'll roll in a picture of what I found with that button. But basically the button was just toast. Now, how it got that green stuff inside of it, I don't know. Could have been some kind of spray stuff, contact cleaner some folks use. I don't really think I'd ever advise against that. It just could be flux from the original installation creeped in there. Hard to say. So I removed what was switch 2 and moved it to switch 1. Switch 2 is not useful for anything. And we're good to go now. So this is a puck bowler, remember. Let me turn it on. And we booted into audits because I took the battery, remote battery wires off of it so I could make it work a little easier. So we are now operating, and we are in a track mode. You can see that first score is oscillating. And gosh darn it, I still got the video artifact there created by this new phone. It's got something to do with the interaction of these fluorescent lights above me, which are now LEDs, and the 60 cycle operation. But I'm gonna have to live with that for this video. Anyway, we are in attract mode. Puck bowler attract mode is dismally boring from a lamp matrix standpoint. But let's put it into test by first pressing this button, and you'll see these two LEDs blink once or twice. I don't remember how often. 2 blinks. And now we are in diagnostic mode. I'll let this run. I really got to figure out what's going on there. So that just went through all the displays. It's interesting that even though this is a puck bowler and this display panel is expecting a pinball display panel, it works, or it projects correctly in diagnostic mode, but in gameplay mode, the display looks all honkered up, but it's not really. It's because the game has 6 displays, each of which I believe are 6-digit displays, but they only use 4 digits. And you can see a YouTube video of that game online if you'd like. So let's go to lamp test, which is working perfectly. Again, there's some video artifacts, but all of those columns are firing. Now, solenoid test. And I'll take some time to comment on this solenoid test board that I've got for Williams 3 through 7 driver boards. It's kind of cool in that the LEDs are laid out physically identically to the way that the transistors are on the board. So if I have an LED, say this one, that's not operating correctly, I know immediately this is the drive transistor to check out. Now, you may have noticed that the game software drove only one special solenoid, and it was special solenoid 1. I can test that with, I can test all the special solenoids. They're all working correctly. But apparently the game only uses special solenoid 1, and I can't speak to that any further because I do not have the game manual. The next test is switch test. You can see it just puts a 3 up there in the upper right, and Strike Zone has 40 switches that it processes. There's 37, and there's 40. And that is it for the test. This board pair is good to go now. I thank you so much for sending it and giving me the opportunity to use up some gigantic copper metallic colored Sharpie so that I can label the chip numbers and indicate that chips are good. Thank you so much. Out to Breckenridge, Colorado.